Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the ZiaWoolz StudioBuzz podcast, episode 23. My name is Doc, and I am coming to you from Albuquerque in New Mexico, where I live with my family and our two cats. Let's see if one of them makes an appearance today. And I am talking to you about yarn, lots of it, about knitting and sometimes spinning or crochet and whatever happens in that regard in my house and in my little studio. I am also the dyer behind ZiaWoolz, where I dye yarn and which are available through my Etsy shop and also in a few local yarn stores. Well, let's just get going. I am outside again, as you can see. Let's hope that this is going to work out because it's hot, and it's not too bad because it's still the morning and we have a little bit of a breeze going, but I'm a little worried about the lighting. So far it seems okay. And of course we have humidity going on right now, which is not really common. Usually we have a very dry heat, so I don't know how long I can sit outside here, but I thought it's just really lovely if I can get to show you a little bit of the background. I have a screen over here that keeps the direct sunlight away. I hope that helps a little bit. But let's get into it. My shirt reminds me that I've been out for a run this morning, which I haven't been doing much, and but it felt really good. It was kind of funny because I met a friend yesterday, and she asked me, "Are you running right now?" I said, "Do I look like I'm running?" I feel like you just can't tell. I don't know. Whatever. You may know what I'm talking about. If you work out and you feel good, and then you don't work out, and you feel like everybody should see that you don't work out. So, but whatever. I was running because she reminded me that it's a good thing because she cannot run anymore out of health reasons. And so I thought, wow, here am I. I can run. I love to run. It's just hard when you've had a break to get going with it again. So it was kind of funny this morning because you have to get going really early in the morning, and I woke up because in a dream it was like I had a doorbell ringing, like the doorbell of my mom, and it was my dad was a runner. He passed away a long time ago, but it was kind of like a reminder from him, hey, you wanted to go run, you got to get up early. So that was kind of special. Yes, but that was all because my shirt reminded me. So, but back to the yarn and the knitting. Woo, that was not good. Sorry about that. Yes, what's been going on? I've told you last time about a few things that I've been working on or that I plan to get to, and one of them is my beautiful Yumi sweater by Isabel Kramer, and I am knitting it out of a ZiaWoolz yarn which is called Breeze, which is the German word for breeze, just spelled differently. And it's a yarn that has a little content of tencel, which makes it just ever so slightly cooler. The colorway I'm working with is called Where is Willie? And let me show you the picture on the pattern. Oh goodness. I love this one sleeve long and one sleeve short. So I haven't decided how long I'm going to make mine yet. So, and here is where I am. Let me see, where's the front and where's the back? I think that's the back and here's the front. I'm making this with 3.5 millimeter needles. I'm using ZiaWoolz, the red lace ones, which I really love, and I have put in a progress marker that my friend Lou gifted me, and this is where I was last time, and I have knitted all of this, which was a lot of knitting, even though it may not look like it. So what happened with this sweater was that my gauge was totally off. I had my row gauge was spot on, but my stitch gauge not at all. So what I decided to do to compensate, because I didn't want to change the needle size, because I felt that this gives me a beautiful fabric. I hope you can see this a little bit. It's just right, I thought. I'm sure you'll agree. And so I decided that I was going to go for the largest size, and that would give me the additional width that I needed. And then when it came to the length that was determined by rows, if in doubt, I would pick the size that I needed for the rows, which was M2 for me, or is M2 for me, or even measurement wise at certain spots, like where you split the sleeves. Isabel Kramer gives you the measurement where you should do that, and here again I chose the measurement for my size. The hummingbirds are so crazy. I filled the feeder and they come here like, and then they fight, and it's so crazy. They're really noisy. So yes, and I did try this on when as soon as I had split the sleeves, but now I switched back to a smaller needle because it's just easier to move the stitches around. So I pick this up when I need something simple to knit, because I'm just going in the round. However, I started switching, alternating skeins just past the yoke. Here's the sleeve opening, and yeah, here you can see that's where I started with that other ball of yarn. And I'm thinking that I'm probably altogether going to use 3 balls of yarn. So we'll see how that goes. And the project is in one of my new favorite bags that I made, the Coffee Diva. And even inside I have this cool fabric. Oh, my beautiful coffee latte espresso maker has to be fixed. It broke, and so I don't have really good lattes right now, which is so sad. But I'm thinking in about 2 weeks I'm gonna get my machine back. So in the meantime, I have to make do without it. So this was my uni. Another thing that I have started since the last time is I have started working with that gradient ball of yarn by Lana Grossa that I had purchased in Germany, and that was the one that changes color by, goodness, how do I explain? Let me just show you the thing, and then that'll make it easier to explain. It lives in another one of my bags. Oops. This is how I make them, and this is my shawl size, by the way. And the pattern that I decided on is, as I think I mentioned that last time, that I'm probably going to make this one. It's called the Everyday Shawl, and the designer's name is Jenny Faithful. She is Sweater Freak Knits on Instagram. I haven't even looked her up, but I really like the shape of the shawl, and I decided to make it with she gives two options size wise, and I decided on the larger size. I just hope I'm not gonna run out of yarn, even though I don't think I will. It should work out, but of course, if it's a close call, you always wonder a little bit. So I am using 4mm needles, and I have worked quite a bit on this, and this is where I am. So I have started with the outside of my ball of yarn. A little bit more about the yarn in a second. And this is how it continues. Sorry about that clunking. Let me try to pick that. I'm gonna pick this up. Hopefully it doesn't make a noise. Okay, so it started with the light green, then it gets darker, and darker, and now there's a hint of purple. So this is a big thing in Germany right now. A lot of people knit with this. There are people who do it as a home business to wind these balls of yarn. They're called bubbles. And what it is it's composed of individual, very fine threads of yarn. Mine is cotton and merino, but I don't know if the individual threads are to cotton to merino, or if the yarns are blended, if the threads are blended in themselves. So what happens is, initially you have 4 apple green threads, then 1 darker green is added, then another light green is replaced by a darker green, then one of the greens is replaced by a blue, and so they add blue. I still have a bit of a green content, but I feel like that's the darker green. And now this is where purple was introduced. See that here? No purple and then purple. So the concept is cool because from a distance you only see the slight variation. However, it bugged the heck out of me that I realized when I started working with this, that as soon as one of the threads changes color, all the threads are cut and knotted. And I mean, nobody would, of course, leave that knot. I mean, you pull really hard and it comes apart. I don't know, maybe you didn't need to pull. I mean, maybe it wouldn't come apart, but I don't want a knot in my shawl. So every time there was the color change, I ripped it, and I am gonna weave in the ends, which I don't mind, but I find it so ridiculous that every thread is cut. That's so unnecessary. And I'm just really curious because this is my first time and it's a commercial yarn. So I don't know how the people do it who do this from home. So I am talking to someone who I hope I'm going to find out soon, and maybe I can tell you a little bit more about that process. I find it also so funny that it's not at all something that is known in America. So I am right now at the point, so I'm really getting, I feel like I'm getting closer to the end. So there is still this section that has to come together, like the middle spine and this side which moves towards the center, and as soon as that's done, I think I can cast off the rest, the rest of this section, and then my shawl is done. It shouldn't be too bad. It's been going fairly quickly, I must say. And oh, by the way, oh my goodness, yes, this has curled like crazy. And what I did was I laid it on my ironing board. I put a wet kitchen towel on it, and I gently steamed it because I really wanted to see how it looks like, and I felt like I cannot even see this. So I'm glad, because now I can show it better too. Okay, that's where I am with this. My Everyday Shawl by Jenny Beifel. I hope I'm saying the name right. You may remember that I started a crazy project because I'm going to Alaska. I'm going on to Alaska for a little bit of extra traveling, but also on an Alaska cruise. So I thought that I am just whipping out a lace shawl in 2 weeks. So I have it on the cruise, right? Like you do. Of course, this was a complete fail. And it's not the fault of the gorgeous pattern. Let me show you what I plan to do. And then you can call me crazy if you haven't watched the last episode. But this is what I wanted to make, because I had a wonderful, wonderful lace yarn that I have named Glacier, the colorway. And I thought it was going to be so perfect. I think I had this vision of myself standing on the front of the boat, having my beautiful shawl gently blowing in the wind like Kate Winslet in the movie Titanic. Yes, I know it's ridiculous, but yeah, okay, I gave up on that. Have I mentioned? Actually, not necessarily for reasons, not necessarily because I thought it was not going to be a nice thing to make, but more because I realized it was just, it wasn't working out the way I thought it was, and I will show you why. But I realize I must have dropped the bits that I finished on the way. So I felt I was really brave to try to tackle this, right? And even if I thought, well, even if I don't get it done, I'm gonna have it eventually. It doesn't matter. It didn't matter. I thought it was a beautiful shawl, and it I just wanted to make it. But what happened was, again, gauge or maybe wrong yarn choice or whatever it was. So it's a Hohi Locatelli pattern, and what she gives is she wants you to knit the pattern. Let me make sure, I think in a 3.75 millimeter needle, which is a US 5. And I just don't like my fabric to be too loosey-goosey. So I don't know, so I thought, well, I'm having a lace yarn, I'm just going down a needle size, and I decided on a 3 millimeter needle. I ended up working even with a long DPN. And this is my beautiful yarn. I love the colors so much. And this is where I ended up with my shawl. I'm going to tell you more about this in a moment. Of course, because it's so light and airy, you can completely shove the stitches together. That's why it works on these needles. However, once you pull them apart, you realize that the section, and I had already made the other end of it, which I think I showed you last time. So if you move all the stitches apart, you see that what I'm getting with this gauge is really a scarf and not something wider that is really like a wrap. And I just realized that's not what I want in this piece. So I thought, well, okay, I'm gonna dye myself more yarn, dyed yarn in a different base, which is actually one of my favorite bases. Or when I started dyeing, this was one of the first bases that I carried and absolutely wanted to have in the shop because I love it so much, and I've used it from another East Coast dyer. I probably talked about that previously. But I thought, well, this is a base. It's a light fingering. It has a great yardage of about 560 yards per skein, 4-ounce skein. It's a 100% superwash merino. That's what I'm going to use. It's going to be awesome for this and going to give me just the fabric that I want. And here's one of the 2 skeins. Another but. So I started the falling, and the problem ended up being that I felt that it's not drapey enough, but it's too woolly for what this pattern really intends you to have. And I am thinking that in the end, I will make this with, I'm looking at, sounded like there was a hummingbird up there, but I guess not. I'm thinking that what I would like for this is a yarn that has a little bit more drape. Somehow, I don't know, it didn't, I mean, even the yarn, even the lace yarn, it seemed to be all right, but I'm thinking what would be really great is a yarn that has maybe a little bit of a silk content. So the falling is not happening for now, for sure. But I came back to another pattern that I showed you last time that was also an option for me, and that was the Avalon I don't even think this picture does this wrap justice, to be honest, because let me show you where I am right now. And I started this, I've worked on this for 2 days, so 2 days ago did I start. Is this not super pretty? I am making this on 3.5 millimeter needles. So that is the needle size that is required. And as usual, I'm getting a bit of a tighter gauge because I'm such a tight knitter, but that's going to be okay. Now already I'm thinking, what can I get this done before I go on the cruise? And look at this. This is really what I want. I want something that I can hang over my shoulders in the evenings, and that's just the perfect width. Don't you think? Yeah, and it's gonna be just lovely. And so this is my ball of yarn. Like I said, the first one, and here's my second one. I have not done the math. I want to do that to see if I knit 2 of these triangle sections every day, which is actually 1 chart. No, hold on. This is how it looks like. So I'm thinking if I knit 1 triangle section per day. So but I have to weigh my ball of yarn to see how far that's going to take me before I actually go on the cruise. So, yep, working on this one. I'm not exclusively working on this one, obviously, because I really realized yesterday, even though it's fairly straightforward, you still cannot be talking too much. I found that I made 2 mistakes in this section because I went to a meeting of my rug hookers guild yesterday, and I was knitting there because I don't really have a project going that I could pull out fast. Everything is put away and I didn't have a lot of time to go, so I just went with my knitting. And in the evening I realized I had made a mistake, 2 mistakes actually. And what I did is, let me see if I find that for you and I can show you. Yes. So what I ended up doing is I pulled apart my knitting and checked all over in the section where I was missing a stitch, which was here. And I found that down here, where I'm pointing to that little dark spot, there should have been a yarn over, but there is not. And that's how I was missing a stitch up here. But you end this section with knitting 3 together, so I just fixed it by knitting only the last 2 stitches together. And I did the same thing at the end. I was also somewhere, I don't know if it was on this side. No, I think it was on this side. I found also that I was missing a stitch at the end, and I fixed it in a similar way. I did not rip back because I saw that it would not be visible the way I'm fixing it. And 2 stitches width-wise, it's not gonna matter, you know, having 2 less and then 2 more again. It's gonna be fine. So that is my Avalon. And where do I put this? Okay, over here. I have worked a little bit on my socks, the ones that I showed you last time, but not enough. I'll show you next time or sometime when I've made a little more progress than just the 5 rows that I've done. I wanted to show you one more thing about the lace shawl, the Avalon. I put only my chart on I enlarged it slightly with my copy machine, and then I laminated it, which is going to help me because it's so straightforward, just knitting with the chart. So this is going to be very easy to use and very helpful for me. So these were my 3 works in progress. So as you notice, I've increased my works in progress. I'm actually about to start another one, which is the cardigan that I thought about making, and I hope I'm gonna get this one done also for the cruise. Am I ridiculous or what? Yes, I know I am. So because I thought that the glittery stuff would be really also a fun evening wear. Well, now I'm looking at the color and I'm like, what the heck? Am I a parrot or what? It's gonna be fine, right? So I'm gonna use these 2 together, and I think I mentioned that before. I will use 8mm needles, so that will also be flying off my needles. And again, I will do a little bit of shaping in the front, but in case you're interested, this is how I start my top down. Nobody can make sense of it, but if you have, I mean, just by looking at it like this, but if you have ever done a top down, you know you have a certain amount of stitches that you start with. Oh, that was the cat jumping on the table. You have a certain amount for the front, for the sleeves, and for the back. And for me, that will be 14 for the 2 fronts, 6 for the sleeves, and the 26 for the back. I have changed the numbers a little bit because I thought for this I would like a wider cardigan, and I do have a little bit more yarn than for the one that I just had finished. So I'm thinking wider altogether, but still slim sleeves. So that's how I came up with these numbers. Stay tuned. I will show you how this is going to go next time. So I have 2 super exciting things, but now what am I going to show you first? I'm going to show you I'm going to do my shop news first, because oh goodness, I am having all these things here and I forget. So I have one new book that I haven't shown you. The cat again, sorry. So I got this one in Germany, and it has some really pretty projects in there, which I haven't gotten around to try yet. But I found the book just super inspiring, and that's why I got it. And I always love charts. So this blanket is one, because Debbie made the most beautiful blanket. Periscoping Sisters podcast. There will be another blanket in the near future, I think. Beautiful book, but in German. I confess I have ordered another one in English too. I hope it's going to come soon, maybe today. So, shop news. I thank you to everybody who has already stopped by the shop. And what I have brought today to show you what's in the shop are a few sock blanks, which I so enjoyed making. I am usually, what I do with my sock blanks is I get in the mood and then I dye up a lot, and then I don't dye them for quite some time. But in this case, they're just so fun and beautiful. Here is one. And I feel like I want to just let them dangle in the wind. Two. Very similar one. More pink and turquoise. Orange, pink, and dark. I was pretty much going for all the bright colors, but there's one that I made which is a darker one, and I love the combination of this dark purple and this mossy green. Hints of turquoise in there. Lovely. So like I said, they're in the shop right now, and I will keep my shop news, that's important. I will keep my shop open for another week, and then it will be closed while I am out of town, and probably a few extra days, and before I get around to opening it again. So I hope you find something that you love, and thank you to all of those who have already stopped by. So very fun other news is that I have received a gift, which is from my friend Vicky. Hey Vicky, thank you again so very much for thinking of me. I have received Vicky's beautiful sweater pattern that she has just published, and it's Vicky's first sweater pattern, and this is how it looks like. It is so beautiful. So it's a very simple and basic sweater, which is so great for everybody who is not very certain about making the change from a simpler piece like a shawl to a garment. This is the way to go, because I think she will guide you in well explained steps through the process of how you make a top-down sweater. And I am in fact already I don't think I'm going to start this before I go on my vacation, but I think that I am very tempted to make my first to make a potluck sweater with yarns, with my hedgehog, some of my hedgehog yarns, which I have not used yet, because I bought a whole bunch in winter when I was traveling in Texas at this yarn store, and I'm thinking I could make color blocks and then set them off by solid stripes in between, or even mohair stripes with mohair yarn. Something like that would be great, because of course you don't have to do the stripe sequence like Vicky did on hers. That's why it's called a potluck sweater. So, and guess what? Even better, you will get a chance to win a pattern, because Vicky told me that I can give away one of her potluck patterns on the podcast. So yay for that. So thank you in the name of all the viewers, Vicky, again. And so here's my thought. So I would like you, I know that many of you have already joined the ZiaWoolz group on Ravelry. So if you have not done that, I would ask you kindly to join the ZiaWoolz group on Ravelry, and I will start a thread for the potluck pullover. And then in that thread, I want you to write a little bit of something, either tell me what you're thinking of using, or what appeals to you in this sweater. I think Munchkin likes the sweater too. Hi Munch, you saying hi? Oh, maybe she wants a sip of water and she wants to go back inside. So thread in the ZiaWoolz group on Ravelry, let me know either if you have a yarn idea that strikes you for this sweater, like if you have a ton of minis that you want to use up, or like me, that you have a yarn that you've been thinking about knitting up for a long time but you weren't sure and what to use it for, and you think that's a great idea for the pattern. Or if you say, wow, I've never made a sweater, this is going to be a great beginner sweater pattern for me. And yeah, I hope you're going to join to enter, and I will draw a winner for Vicky's pattern in the next podcast episode. Oh, the potluck pullover, absolutely great. I will draw the winner for the giveaway of a pattern in the next episode, and until then I will keep the thread open in the ZiaWoolz group. I have another very exciting news. So I would like to start an Isabel Kramer knit along, and I have come up with the most fun hashtag for Instagram and Ravelry. I'm gonna do it all. It is gonna be Lilalu Love 2018. So I am, and if you are working on an Isabel Kramer pattern, then you can enter with your work in progress. And if you always thought about making one of her patterns, go ahead and start it. And so I'm thinking that probably I'm gonna draw a winner for this at the end of October for the knit along. And so I will do 2 threads in the ZiaWoolz group. I will do 1 thread for finished objects, and I will do she wants to go in, I think. So yes, she wanted to come inside, and she's so smart. She does not stand in front of the door and scream. No, she's right in my face, because she knows then I will really have to do something about her screaming, and I will get up and take care of her, which I did. So back to the Isabel Kramer knit along. So there will be a finished object thread in our ZiaWoolz group on Ravelry. I will also open up a chatter thread, so if you have ideas or you want help picking a pattern or something, there will be that thread. And I will come up with a prize for both of these until the end of the knit along, which I will have it run until October, because that's going to be a time where things have slowed down, hopefully a little bit for me. I'm going to be quite busy with my dyeing in the next weeks. There are a few events. There's also still the studio tour where I have an open house here in November, and I'm going to go to the Taos Wool Festival again beginning of October. But the really big news why I decided I have to have an Isabel Kramer knit along is I am bursting to tell you, because I'm so excited about this. Believe it or not, Isabel Kramer is coming to Albuquerque at the end of September. Be still my heart. Seriously. I have been knitting so many Isabel Kramer patterns even before I knew that she was coming to New Mexico, and now this is of course an incentive to cast on all the other Isabel Kramer patterns. So, but I'm so excited. Every time I start talking about this, I get so crazy excited. I don't even find the words. And how do you tell a non-knitter how special this is? I'm like, yesterday I told the rug hooking group, I said to them, you know, you just got to imagine it's like asking Elton John, hey, would you like to give a concert in Albuquerque? And Elton John says, sure. And then you say, hey, would you like to use my guest room? Feel free to live in my house for a few days when you're here. You have your own bathroom and feel free. And he says, sure, I'll do that. That's how I feel right now. This is like so crazy amazing. So, but enough of that. She's just a fantastic designer. We are so lucky that she agreed to come to Albuquerque and spend a few days here. And what's going to happen is, I hope I'm not messing these things up, but the plan is we're going to have, I believe, a 2-day knitting retreat with a relatively small group of people here in Albuquerque. As it looks like the location is not 100% determined, but as it looks like right now, it's going to happen in Albuquerque, so there's no drive involved. If I know that some people have shown interest who are coming from out of town, and so it's kind of nice to know that you're going to be in Albuquerque for the retreat and the class with Isabel. So I assume that some of you say, wow, when, where, how, I want to join this. How can I do that? I would ask you to please get in touch with my friend Lauren, who is the, I'll have to double check, but I'm thinking she's the knitter writer on Ravelry. And Lauren will, I don't think she has any sign up list open at this point, but if you are interested in participating, I would recommend for you to get in touch with Lauren and to tell her to put you on her email list for the sign-ups. And yes, I know that there will be, I'm pretty sure that we're starting on a Friday. It's going to go Friday and Saturday, the last weekend in September. On another note, I wanted to mention that there's also going to happen another knitting retreat in New Mexico, well, actually in Arizona. But what we will do is we will take the train from Albuquerque to Winslow in Arizona, and we will spend 3 nights at the La Posada, which is a gorgeous hotel, which has a lot of great locations where you can sit and actually hang out and knit together with the group that's going. And we have, this is a we in this case, is my local yarn store here at Nob Hill. They have actually rented and blocked out all the rooms in the whole hotel, and so it's going to be, the whole hotel is going to be filled with knitters, and the kitchen is absolutely fantastic. It's so, they cook such amazing food, and so I'm already looking forward to that as well. Which, by the way, is also going to be the case where we're looking into having the Isabel Kramer mini retreat here in Albuquerque, with in September. So if you think you want to travel and you want to do something fun, here are 2 absolutely great options for you. So I hope I will see you at one of these 2 events in the future. For the Winslow trip, I need you to get in touch with the yarn store at Nob Hill. Well, lots of exciting news. We have a giveaway for a beautiful pattern. We have a new knit along. Lovely prizes still to be decided on. I will let you know in the future. And we have 2 awesome retreats coming up, and I am just so excited about all of these things that are going to be happening in the future. Please, yes, join the Ravelry group, join the ZiaWoolz group on Ravelry, and until I see you again, I hope you have fun with your knitting. I know I certainly will have fun. I also have some spinning lined up that I haven't even mentioned, because with all the Tour de Fleece photos that you see on Instagram and all the fun is going on everywhere, I thought I have to pull out some spinning fibers too. Not that I have a lot of time with everything that I want to knit, but whatever, you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta have fun, right? So I hope you all will be well and you're fine with your weather, and stay cool and knit something fabulous and fun, and I will see you again in a few weeks. Bye bye.